The Civil War Uncovered is brought to you by Minelab Americas. Welcome to Episode 5 of the Civil War Uncovered. In May of 1864, armies were on the move to control the breadbasket of the Confederacy, Virginia's Shenandoah Valley. Union Major General Franz Sigel had orders to move up the valley with 6,300 men and destroy the rail center at Lynchburg. Former Vice President of the United States and now Confederate Major General John C. Breckinridge gathered a little over 4,000 Confederates together and moved swiftly to meet Sigel's threat. Breckinridge's reserve forces included over 250 cadets from the Virginia Military Institute. May 15, 1864 was a stormy day. The two forces met in a drenching rain along the edge of the village of Newmarket. First, the Union artillery raked the Confederate forces as they advanced. Soon, cannons blew a 100-yard wide gap in Breckinridge's line of battle. Reluctantly, Breckinridge gave the order to send the cadets in to fill that gap. The VMI cadets charged with Breckinridge's veterans to break the Union line and capture their artillery. The fighting was fierce, but after losing their guns, the Union began a disorganized withdrawal from the field and up the Valley Turnpike back toward Strasburg. The VMI cadets had helped to win the day and keep the Shenandoah Valley in Confederate hands for a short while longer. In this episode, the Civil War Uncovered team search a portion of the Union retreat route on the outskirts of Newmarket along the Old Valley Turnpike.
It's starting to sound like iron again. My little bit of research that the Federal Cavalry had some cannons, and they had a whole bunch of Federal cannons and a bit less of the Confederate cannons, but they were all shooting right in this area. Well, you mentioned artillery. There's a piece of shell frag. This is where the fuse was placed. It's a small shell, whatever kind it is. Now I'm excited. Little piece of history saved from the Newmarket battlefield. Piece of artillery shell fragment. Yay! I think we're real close to the Eccles Battery was over that way somewhere, and I like I said, I'm not exactly sure where we're at, but I know we're on the northern end, and they were firing this direction first into a 1,000 cavalry troops, and then when the cavalry troops took off, they started focusing on the left flank of the infantry line, and we're real close to where all that was. Every find is a clue. If you get enough clues, you can make some sense out of what happened in a particular area. If I remember right, at the Battle of Newmarket, there was just shy of 5,000 Confederates, and they attacked about 6,000 Federal infantry and cavalry. And the Battle of Newmarket's known for the great charge by the VMI cadets. Guy told me he had a Civil War Confederate soldier ghost in his house. Of course, I said, sure, tell me more, without laughing at him. And he went on to say that everybody in his family and everybody that had spent the night in the house had been visited by this apparition. So it was really there. And he said he was a Confederate officer. You could visually see him just like he was really standing there. He had a head wound with a bandage around it. And he told me about the area where the battle was, which was on his property. So I asked him, did the thing ever tell him a name or give any clues? And he said no. He said the only thing it ever did was appear. And 2 Christmases, it destroyed their Christmas tree because it was in a certain corner of the house. So they moved the Christmas tree. And doors open, lights come on, that kind of stuff. So I did some research and narrowed down the dead officers for that particular battle and came up with one that was actually wounded in the head and lingered for several weeks before he died, and his first name was Samuel. So the next time the ghost appeared, the homeowner said, Samuel. And he said the ghost just immediately disappeared. And so it kind of made him think that that was the right guy. There it is. Well, this is an artillery day. That's a piece of a sabot off of a artillery shell. Made of lead, fit around the base of the shell to fit the grooves inside the cannon to give the shell a spin so it would be accurate. Another good clue, we're in an artillery impact area. We'll investigate this one. I don't know. Yep, here we go again. I try to break it into sections so I can fit it back in the hole the way it came out. Also, sometimes if you break it, if you dig the target accurately centered, if you break the clump right in the middle, the target will show up. But sometimes a clump don't want to break in the middle. To reduce the possibility of destroying the plug as much as I can, because when you fit it back in the hole, if it still fits the hole accurately, then it grows back a whole lot easier. Yeah, I can put that back and it goes right where it come out of. It's like putting a puzzle back together too. Now, where could this nail be? After all this work, it's always a nail. Well, oh no! Oh my! After breaking that plug up, and as I did, the target fell out, and it turns out to be a 3-ring bullet of some kind, 58 caliber, and it's been dropped rather than fired. In battle, you would think that as the soldiers, in this case the Federal troops were retreating, they would be trying to load their gun on the run and maybe dropping as many cartridges as they had the ability to get one tore and put in the barrel of the gun. Being nervous makes you do funny things, like loose bullets. If they were in a firing line, soldiers also had a notion that they would take 2 cartridges out and pour the powder from both cartridges in the barrel and then put one bullet in the barrel and throw the other bullet down. They thought they had a double powder charge. They would have a more accurate, more powerful bullet coming out the end of the barrel when they fired it. But as we know nowadays, that all they did was, when they fired the gun, was most of the powder just went out unburned. Cool.
Very good.
Well, we determined that we're not too far, maybe a half a mile north of the federal line. And based on that information that the artillery shell frag we found earlier, in all probability came from Eccles, the Confederate General Eccles cannon battery. It breaks a little bit, but we'll look at that one. Out of the ground it comes. Sounds all right. You ready for your close-up? Another piece of lead sabot from an artillery shell. It looks like it's about close to 12 inches. Yeah, that sounded a whole lot better than the rest of them signals. There might be hope for another bullet yet.
In this episode, the Civil War uncovered firearms expert Steve Davis has two special guests, Mike Stoneburner in his mountain howitzer.
We're joined today by Mike Stoneburner. He's brought out a special piece for us to view, and he's going to explain a little bit about it and how it works.
This is a Union 10-pound parrot. They call it a pack parrot. It's designed to take apart and the different pieces to pack on 3 different pack mules, and it was designed to be more mobile than the 10-pound parrot that the Union had, which was 60-inch wheels and like 72-inch barrels. Was it more of a round ball gun, or was it a conical charge? This is a rifled gun, and it was a long conical shaped projectile.
Tell us about the crew on the gun.
Crew on the gun would be 6 men. You would have 1 man on this side of the wheel, would be number 1 man.
So the number 1 operated the worm to clean out the remnants after you fired it.
He cleaned the powder bag out, which was probably a burlap or a canvas type bag, and it would lay smoldering, because when the charge would go off, it would blow the front of the bag out in the projectile and leave the remnants of the bag in there smoldering.
And then number 2 would sponge, and then
he would sponge
dry, and then ram the charge.
Right, and then the gunner would holler load, and the man would bring the charge up, hand it to the number 1 man. The number 2 man would take the rammer and insert the powder charge.
Explain your hand positioning on that.
Like this, without the thumb wrapping completely around the rammer in case it would discharge. This would be less likely to take your hand and arm away.
How would this have affected the troops that were being fired on?
Well, this gun was being rifled gun. It was very accurate, and they could pinpoint pretty much exactly where they wanted to put the round at. So it was very devastating.
How about a tip to help you work better in the field with your metal detector?
Hi, I'm Kevin Hoagland from Minelab Americas, and I'm here today with the folks from the Civil War Uncovered to bring you a few technical tips for better using your metal detector. When hunting with a large double decoil, the heel-toe method of pinpointing is very successful for most users. As you go across the target and you hear the center spot, slowly back your coil up until the target just disappears. That's what we call the toe. Take your foot or take your digging tool and make a line. Turn your coil 90 degrees, go back across the target. When the target disappears this time, it's at the heel or the back of your coil. Make another line and you have a half X marks the spot. There's a pinpointing tip.
I'm doing some voodoo. Guy told me one time if you just stand still and look across the field real slow, that your gaze will be attracted to a good target. Let's see if it works. I got attracted to a spot. More something. Oh, there it is. You can see the rings. It was a Civil War bullet hit the ground. Maybe that guy knew something about scanning across the ground and finding a spot. Ah! Aha! I was just getting ready to say I wished we could find something Civil War. Am I keeping you in suspense? You know how to keep a photographer in suspense? Don't show them what you got. This is a friction primer from an artillery piece. They used that to fire the cannon. It had a wire device on it with a loop, and they'd tie the lanyard to the wire thing, and when they jerked it, it would strike inside, shoot fire down into the cannon charge, make the cannon go off. It's not a pie pan, and it's not a soda can, but it might be a 22 bullet casing. Ain't very big. Ain't a word, is it? Oh. Now all we have to do is find the other two buckyballs and the round ball, huh? Buckyball. All right, what is it? It's a nest of ants. Maybe that was a buckyball. There's the ball. Oh my. I ain't never dug one of these in my life. This is called a belted ball. It's got a belt around it. That's the rarest round ball you can dig. Well, no, I take it back. There's one more rare, and it's got a belt going the other way too. I have never dug one of those. There's some kind of literature you can look up the belted ball, and it tells you it goes into a, I'm gonna say a Jacobs rifle, but I'm not sure of that. I think it's a Jacobs rifle. Way cool. Well, we had fun at New Market, Virginia. Found a couple things. We found a bullet fragment, a friction primer for a cannon, some miscellaneous stuff, and a genuine rare belted ball. I had fun.
That's all for this episode of the Civil War Uncovered, but don't forget, we have lots of ways for you to see our show and to get extra content. Visit us online at thecivilwaruncovered.com or like us on Facebook. You can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can watch our American Iron TV channel on Roku through Blip TV. And you can see our videos and many more relic hunting features and videos on Minelab.com.